Hi, my name is Ronald Holt, and I work with quantum navigation. And quantum navigation is the mapping, navigating, and integrating the inner landscape of the conscious and unconscious through direct experience. That's- I found that I had to actually peer into the navigating and mapping out of my own inner landscape of my conscious and subconscious and through direct experience. And it's that direct experience of being brave enough to face a lot of the shadow issues, a lot of the blockages, resistances, the boundaries that we self-impose on our own self, which creates all of our limitations. So as I began this, there was an author, and I think it's Henry David Thoreau, who made a comment that said, you can't really change a person until that person is ready and willing to see themselves differently. And consequentially, you can't change yourself until you're ready and willing to see yourself differently. And all the work that I had been through in my early years, which I have such a spectrum of otherworldly experiences, and I couldn't really put those puzzle pieces together until I began trying to heal. So direct experience of mapping my inner landscape of my darkness helped me define this other aspect of myself. So as that coinage points out, you can't really change yourself or anyone else until they're ready to see themselves differently. It kind of says that there's two yous. What? So I began to realize there's the you that's created from birth, many births, where you forget who you are, where you came from, why you're here, where you're going. And then there's this other you that always has been and always will be, and that spans all of creation. So I couldn't really begin to help myself until I investigated just exactly what is this part of me that already is everywhere and in all things and is already perfect. So these two parts, the part that forgot who it was and came about through birth and experience, takes self-realization in order to marry together and begin to help heal the limitations and boundaries that exist inside of the inner landscape of the unconscious. And the unconscious is where our deepest fears, our roots of unconsciousness, which begin with abandonment, betrayal, guiltiness, powerlessness, helplessness, hopelessness, neediness. And this is where codependency comes in, neediness, and all the way to nothingness. And nothingness is what the ego, the false illusion of the self, hates the worst. And so when we marry self-realization with the impediments that are arising in our unconscious through these belief systems, through this conditioning of self-limitation, then we begin to disentangle from all of these self-limitations, and we begin to see the true fabric of who we are. And so it helps us see our polarizations and marry them back together inside of us. We feel integrated and empowered. Well, obviously, meditation becomes a very important part in all of this. The ability to see through the mind and find the all-abiding consciousness. So our mind is kind of like a used car salesman, and it's constantly pitching all kinds of ideas, concepts, and so on. And it'll stay empowered so long as we keep feeding it and we keep believing in everything that it says. But in meditation, we learn how to turn the switches, levers, and dials to stop that mental merry-go-round, emotional roller coaster, and the used car salesman of the picture in our line. Once we can still that, then the mind becomes the greatest magnifier of heart energy. We are nothing but heart and integrated energy, but we get distracted from it by having no control over the switches, levers, and dials of our mental consciousness. But when we learn to stop it, then we become aware of the abiding awareness that exists everywhere and has no boundaries. We keep looking outside for validation and for the empowerments that we're needing, we feel we don't have, when they all exist inside of us, and we keep being distracted by that used car salesman that tries to keep our attention in the mental realm, which is beta consciousness. If you look at beta brain waves, it keeps us in dissociative consciousness. So when the mind goes still and clear, then it magnifies all the potentials that exist inside of the heart. The heart's already part of it. So it's a really good idea to have some just little basics on quantum characteristics, because consciousness has quantum characteristics, and that enables us to see our true fabric more easily. When we see our true fabric, then we can trust and relax and surrender into you already are part of all things, rather than the mind who keeps stealing your attention and turns you into a slave, and we keep following the mental merry-go-round, emotional roller coaster that keeps drawing us into one malady after another, one chaos after another.